simple reason that the majority of American people do not want it enforced and are resisting its enforcement. That being so, the orderly thing to do under our form of government is to abolish a law which cannot be enforced, a law which the people of the country do not want enforced.
And we are live. I forgot to loop it. How about that? I was wondering what was going on. Yeah, no kidding, right? So, welcome to the show. It's the Kent and Zach show, live from KCDI Studios. It's just me and Zach tonight. We don't have any producers.
We clearly have no production team.
We have no production team. We're missing Caitlin. It's going to be a crazy show, folks, but we want to thank you for joining us. We're going to play our intro just because we like to play the intro. And here we go. And we're back again. Welcome.
It is a great intro.
It is a great intro. Recording live from KCDI Studios. This is the Kent and Zach show with Caitlin Guthrie, blasting anyone who makes us angry. We bring critical thinking, skepticism, and ridicule to anything that makes the news or our purview. It's political, it's skeptical, it's triggering, and we are not holding anything back. I am your host, Kent Williams, along with my pal, Zach Wharf. Our dear friend, Caitlin Guthrie, has the night off. So does our production team, Bryden Tucker, as you found out at the beginning of the show if you've been watching live. We had a great start there. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Caitlin may be active in the chat room if she wants to jump on while she's doing family stuff, but we expect her to be doing family stuff and hanging out and having a good time this evening. Stuff. Absolutely. So, Zach, right. How are you tonight,
Welcome.
My man?
Thanks for coming to the show, guys. Episode 4 now? Is it 4?
Episode 4. Kansas, Yeets, value them both. Yeets. We did it.
Goodbye.
We did it. Kansas women showed up to the polls yesterday.
Ow, my balls.
And totally kicked the crap out of this amendment.
60%.
60%. 150,000. What was the overall vote? If we had a production team, they'd have this up here by now. Our constitutional amendment passed with the no vote winning 534,134 to 374,611.
That means that there are a lot of Republican women out there who told their churches and told their husbands, yeah, I'm voting yes on it. I'm voting yes. They told them, yep. And then
That's
they went
exactly
in that ballot box and they absolutely voted no.
No. And look at that. Look at the total votes in a primary election in Kansas. 908,000. Almost 909,000 people in Kansas turned up to the polls yesterday to vote on this
registration went up 1,038%.
It's insane.
That's huge.
Absolutely. I mean,
voting registration never goes up during a primary. Like they're struggling to get everybody that is registered to go in and actually do it.
And I think what we have to thank for that is our younger population, our 18-year-olds. I think they turned up and turned out for this election and made their voices heard.
And if there was ever a primary that was like lackluster and desirable to want to participate in, it was this one. Like there was no candidate that I could even get excited about for either party. I didn't even bother to register for either party. Clearly, Laura Kelly was going to win, even though she had a contender. I can't even remember his name. He didn't do anything, and it's the incumbent. It's how it always goes. I get it, but and on the Republican side, Kobach, really? We're gonna do Kobach again? Aren't we over that?
Apparently not.
Doesn't he get it yet?
He won purely on name recognition alone. But before we get along, I do want to acknowledge Caitlin. We knew she wouldn't miss the show. We told her she was fired for the night and she was supposed to enjoy family. And here she is in the chat room. Hey, Caitlin, thanks for showing up. We love you. We miss Brian. You can tell him that already, and Tucker.
But, all shitty graphics tonight are 100% Ken's fault. And I'm not helping at all, so I guess that's my fault too.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything that's gone wrong so far is my fault. It's been a crazy evening getting this show going on. Aww. Our producer says he loves us too. You don't often hear that from producers. You know, we usually stress them out. You know, they always got to come up with
adding last minute graphics.
Last minute graphic. Everything's last minute for producers. Mad respect for ours. Be Real and Tucker. Aww. Heck yeah. Double trouble tonight. Double trouble. Pump up those views. Make those lithograms go through the roof. So we're going to talk a little bit about value them both. We won. Congratulations.
You know I got my hate coming, but let's celebrate for a moment.
Yeah.
Confetti. Horns.
Woo! Everybody
pretend there was graphics there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm astonished by Kansas. You know,
I'm so proud to be a Kansan for once.
I am once, so
the news was fantastic news about Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
Even the day before, I was like, good Lord, it is always shitty stuff about Kansas. Because what was it the day before? The Tim Huell's campaign spent a bunch of money to illegally send text messages out to deceive people.
Yeah.
And they know they're going to get fined. It's going to be probably around 20 grand, I would guess, and they just figure it's the cost of doing business. Why? Well, because these people have raised. Where's those numbers? I had them right here.
Yeah, that's $6.5 million.
$6.5 million this year alone. Just this year, they have raised almost $7 million just to blow on this campaign. So, we won a battle, guys. We won a battle, and we did a great job of it. We have 1,000% new voters. You guys got to remain active. You guys got to continue to pay attention, because that is not the end of it. There is so much more to come.
Absolutely. And, you know, I want to make mention of independents right now, too. The unaffiliated voters right now, too. I saw so many posts on Facebook on how disappointed they were that they couldn't vote on any of the candidates in the primaries. You know, and a lot of the new voters didn't understand what that meant either, showing up. You know, they thought they were going to get to vote for governor or for the attorney general or secretary of state. To come to find out, all their ballot had on it was the constitutional amendment. So if looking towards the future, we are happy to announce that we will have Rank the Vote Kansas on the show, not next week, but the following week. I believe that is the 10th, if I'm not correct. The 16th. The 10th, yes. The 16th. I think it's the 16th. The 10th, we have a big surprise hopefully coming for the 10th that will be really...
so the following week, that's the 17th.
The 17th. And then the 24th, John Dole will be joining the show and talking to us about why he voted yes for Value Them Both, or supported Value Them Both, or supported the amendment.
He voted yes for the amendment to be put to a public vote.
To be put.
That's
put to a
the public vote that anybody can go
Right.
see. Is he voted yes to allow that amendment to be voted on yesterday? So
John Dole will tell you
that poses many
pro.
questions that I
Yeah.
won't. I will hold back on right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
I-
we
I
have
will.
so many questions, and we have so many questions for Rank the Vote Kansas. I'm sure you've seen ranked choice voting going around right now. The Ford party's kind of taken off a little bit behind Andrew Yang. I'm watching it. We're watching it because I'm watching it and talking about it. I hope everybody else is, and that's something else that I want to lead us to. And Zach made a really good point off air last week that there were candidates that were endorsed by myself on the show, and I want to make very clear that the Kent and Zach show with Caitlin Guthrie will issue statements if the show itself, and there's 5 of us here, agree on endorsing a candidate. But there may be candidates that I want to endorse, or may be candidates that Zach wants to endorse or Caitlin wants to endorse that we don't agree on. And that's the purpose of the show anyway. If we agreed on everything, it may not be so
That
good.
being said, I just want to say, John Wheeler, congratulations on your promotion to citizen.
I voted for John Wheeler, but I'm happy that Bob Lewis won. I think the issues between the two are pretty much the same. It's the same platform, always is.
Not
I think
excited about Bob, but
I think
happy
there's
to see John
a better
go.
chance there for cannabis, and that's something that we want to talk about. That's outside of the norm and an uncomfortable conversation for a lot of people. And cannabis needs to be on the ballot just as quick as Value Them Both did. We want answers as to how Value Them Both was able to hit the ballot like it did, and we can't even get cannabis there.
And they blocked cannabis again. Thank you, Ty Masterson.
Yeah,
That's another story. I can do that
yeah.
1,000 times a day.
We're also excited to have Kansas Normal on the show at some point in time too, to come and talk to us about cannabis reform in Kansas. So we want to give them
There's
a
just
shout
been
out.
so many topics to cover. Like
Yeah.
we have so many episodes to do,
Yeah,
and every day we are not struggling for ideas on the show. That's for sure. It's a struggle for time. Like, do we want to do the show for an hour, or do we want to do it for 90 minutes? And that sometimes it's like, good Lord, there's enough to cover for 2 hours easily. But do people want to watch that for 2 hours?
right.
That's the hard part. They're important topics and they need to be talked about. And we're going to cover as many as we can for as long as we can hold an audience.
Yeah, absolutely. And, our co-host, Caitlin, I can't believe we couldn't vote on cannabis legislation, but they enforced a religious extremist position that we had to opt out of.
The state that was so sure on this, they put it in their constitution.
And body autonomy goes to many things, it scares me. Could they force us to take medicine if we want, if we come down with cancer, are they going to take away the right to decline treatment? It's my body. I should be able to choose how I treat myself. Is that correct? I mean, it's a lot. I don't know. There's so many facets to this thing. There are so many other, our legislation could be different, legislators could be different in 10 years and more progressive. It's the way it's going. Our Senate and House redrew the lines on our districts this last session. And I have a graph here, which, may be a little hard to see. It's a cell phone screenshot from the Lyon County Democratic Party, but they broke down each district, and it's the first time I'm pretty sure that all 4 districts landed the same on a state
First time since Reagan, for sure.
election. All 4 districts voted no in the majority due to the gerrymandering and the redistricting that the Republicans did in our last session. It did not work in their favor. You put Manhattan and Lawrence in with all the Republicans, that they're going to sway blue. It's going to sway blue because there's not that many voters in rural western Kansas.
let's not get too excited about that, though, just because.
We'll see.
I showed
I
you
know.
this map before the show, but I want everybody to notice this little map of Kansas here. If they figure out a way to make this a county-based vote, we lose easily.
We do lose. Mm-hmm.
Our ass is handed to us, and I guarantee you that's going to be a goal to try and get that done. This map right here, I mean, Finney County, we're almost 50-50 in Finney County. Never in a million years would I have thought that. In other counties, close to, with bigger cities, like, there's a lot of them that were really close. But yeah, if they figure out how to make this a land-based vote, we're in big trouble.
Yeah, I don't know of a county there that was until that had a majority as a no vote. There were a lot of close ones though, and I got to say I am proud of Finney County, and like Zach said at the top of the hour, there were a lot of Republican women that went to the polls, and you can tell by traditional. You base it off of traditional numbers. Women showed up and voted no for this, and it really didn't matter what their affiliation was or religious beliefs, any of that. You know, they showed up and voted no, and I think that's amazing, and I'm so happy.
Yeah,
and
I'm
I
very
feel
proud to be
relieved.
Kansan on this
I
one.
am too. I am too. But like we said, the battle was won, but the war has just begun. We're going to see this come up again and again and again,
and in many different ways. And as long as you don't smoke a joint in your house, you might be okay, because we're never going to have that discussion. But I do look forward to, I pressed Bob Lewis on, or John Wheeler on a lot of those issues in many of the legislative coffees. So I really look forward to pressing Bob Lewis and hearing his responses.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I can't see, from what I know of him, I can't see him being opposed to it. So that would just be one more in the right direction. I don't know what their plan is from here, though. On the abortion topic, I have no idea what direction they're going to go, but there's no way they're going to give up. But Kansas is not as right-leaning as you would believe. You just hear Kansas and you're like, oh yeah, that's going to be a Republican win on everything, no matter what. And it almost is, But on these votes that we get to do based on the individual people, our bigger cities carry us on a lot of things. Wichita and Kansas City definitely carried us on Laura Kelly being elected. And they definitely carried us on this vote for sure. Because you take Wichita out of the picture or cut those numbers in half, we lose.
Yeah. Yeah, we do, and but what I think we're also seeing though is since COVID, there's been a massive shift in people and where they live here in Kansas. They're spreading out. You're seeing more city folks that are starting to move out, more rural. You're seeing people from blue states move in from out here to avoid higher taxes and things.
And we're also seeing a lot of our young generation leave in droves.
We are, and that's sad. And, that's a problem that needs to be absolutely addressed. And I agree, Caitlin. The internet is alive with gratitude for Kansas. I mean, we made everything. Kansas was all over the place. For the right things, and it gives a lot of people faith and hope and drive and determination to tackle the same issue in their own cities, their own states. Don't give up. You can do it.
Absolutely.
Knock on. But we do owe an apology to veterans and women all over veterans all over, and to the women of Kansas for Roger Marshall. So we do want to take the time to apologize that Roger Marshall represents Kansas or anybody in the United States in any way.
Not a real doctor.
Not a real doctor. Claims to have delivered 5,000 babies. Has probably performed as many abortions and has and vehemently denies women the right to their health care. He's a crook. He's a swindler. I don't like Roger Marshall at all, and I hope he goes away the next time we can vote him out.
He's got that Cecil money.
He does have some big money behind him, and that's a never-ending funnel. As long as things are done right. So things have changed prior. There are a lot of people out there that are sad and lonely right now too. So we do want to mention that the 988, the new suicide hotline, lifeline number is out there. Men, we know you struggle deeply. We struggle deeply. If you don't have anybody to talk to, call the number. Get some help. And reach out to us. Heck, we'll talk to you. We love you. I'd rather have a friend of mine cry on my shoulder than go to your funeral. But we do want to keep this show nice, short, and sweet. We didn't really plan for anything, so we apologize if it didn't meet your content standards of the last couple of shows. We did. Our half our team's gone tonight because we fired them. But they'll be back next week. They're rehired for the same low pay. And we look forward to having them here.
Well, before we let everybody go, can we end on a laugh? Can I do the Alex Jones bit? Because it makes me so happy.
Yes, we did have that in store. We have time. Let's roll it.
If you didn't hear today, Alex Jones's lawyers presented Alex Jones with some information he was completely unaware of.
It's some pretty damning information.
I would want a new lawyer.
I would want a new lawyer, too.
Self-described as a Perry Mason moment. The lawyer for the parents of Jesse Lewis, who was killed at Sandy Hook Elementary School, just said in court that Alex Jones' lawyers were sent the contents of Jones' phone by mistake. The lawyer showed Jones his own emails about Sandy Hook. After Jones had testified under oath, he couldn't find any. Lewis's parents are suing Jones for $150 million. Scarlett Lewis testified yesterday Jones had made her life, quote, a living hell. I want to bring in NBC's Ben Collins, who covers disinformation, extremism, and the internet for us. Ben, I mean, this feels like this only happens in movies, not real life. What happened?
Unreal.
Yeah,
unreal.
It's probably too stupid for Law and Order, frankly. Alex Jones's lawyers sent over the contents of his entire phone to the Sandy Hook parents' lawyers 12 days ago by mistake. And as of 2 days ago, he is allowed to use them in evidence. And what happened was, over the last few days, Alex Jones has said some things that are demonstrably false, just not true on the stand. Things about his, specifically about his bankruptcy, about faux bankruptcy, about his financials. Now we know it's not true. In fact, we got...
So there again, we don't have a production team with us tonight, but you get the gist of it,
They literally sent the opposing team the entire contents of Jones's phone.
They perjured
everything.
He perjured himself, and his lawyers also perjured themselves in this as well because they didn't present evidence. So it's pretty damning. It's pretty harsh. There's going to be a lot of people I think may go to jail. They pay us an exposure, everyone. Yeah.
So in the video, the prosecuting lawyer tells him they accidentally gave this to me, and when they were told about it, they had 10 days to tell us that it was attorney-client privilege, and we weren't allowed to look at that and needed to destroy it, and we would have legally had to, but they didn't. They did it. So after 10 days, that becomes all of their evidence that they can use, submit, and present. The next few days of that case would be really funny. Too bad I have to work 9 to 5, 8 to 5.
What I think is going to happen is, he's going to end up getting the case thrown out because of a mistrial, because of what his attorneys did here, and that's going to be a shame. And I hope that doesn't happen, but I feel that's the get long game here. for Alex Jones and his team, and then he can go on never fucking telling the truth about Sandy Hook and this never happened and it's Mandela. Whatever the hell he wants
would
to
have
do.
been a possibility if they would have,
like that.
If he would have said something before the 10 days, but after the 10 days, I don't see how there can be any. It's absolute. I think the lawyer did it maliciously. I agree with you, Brian.
Nope. Sorry.
I do think the lawyer did it maliciously because he didn't show any remorse or anything in the video. But yeah, look that video up. It was funny.
I think he's gonna try to play the mistrial card and get out of this, and I'm pissed about it. I think we'll see what happens. But guys, we want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. It's a short show. We have a lot more to talk about. We have some really good content coming your way over the next few weeks. Surprise for next week. I can't release yet. We haven't confirmed, so hopefully we get this one done. But we think you'll really enjoy it. And then we have rank the boat.
If it doesn't confirm, we'll have monologues at least.
Yeah.
So there'll still be a show.
Yeah, we'll have good content. Like tonight, we weren't planning on doing anything. We took.
We were just so excited about the win, and we were like, we got to do something.
We have to do something. We were on Monday, and we promised our wives we wouldn't make this a habit. So we were only going to do one show this week, and Zach and I were like, oh, we better do something. So here we are, without our team, making fools of ourselves, I'm sure.
we're just two males celebrating that females get a little bit of their bodily autonomy back. A little bit. There's still some laws that are pretty messed up with our abortion laws, like listening to the heartbeat. That seems like unnecessary and torturous.
There's a lot of that 24-hour period's pretty brutal for women and should be discussed because I think it causes unnecessary psychological damage to an already.
I was going to say that there's a law on abortion in Kansas that forces the doctors to tell the patient that an abortion can cause cancer, even though there's absolutely no evidence to support that. The American Cancer Association has a whole article about it on their page, to strictly for Kansas and other abortion restrictive states.
Yeah. So next week
we still got work to do.
We got a lot of work to do. Next week, we look forward to talking about USD 457. We do have our and other issues that are concerning Garden City. We'll be back with events and much, much more. We want to thank you so much for joining us here tonight. I'm Kent.
I'm Zach, man.
We'll see you next week.
Thanks for joining us. Have a great night, true believers.
Well, test. Better. We'll take a minute to envision it, in the wisdom deriving from a difference of opinion, inquisitive, isn't it? When the picture in the mirror isn't shit, but give it a minute, fix this image and hit the bricks with the viciousness. But don't play, cause one day you'll be saying, you shoulda, coulda, woulda, but my shit just wouldn't drop, cause you wouldn't hop, but you're so worried, it was your world. When you hit them with the rhymes, they had no words. Just come back to the flip of the tongue fun that you once had and chuck it like a beer and crush that. Go shave your mustache and write it down, cut that, and show 'em what's rap again. Oh, I'm getting tired of that. I don't know anymore what they call that. Getting so you know that something's missing. Let's go show 'em what rap is again. Like taking a step out of your front door for the first time and you want more of the sunshine, but you've been locked away, forgetting you don't care. Listen, it's not part of the mission. Just say what you got to say. Whether it makes sense, just a bunch of gibberish, spit from the hip, slipping so soft, for splitting your lip. You get a grip, cause as good as your shit is, you know it really isn't a big deal. Cause it'll turn heads bound too. It's your purpose, round two. But you gotta open your eyes and realize it's right here. But to open your mind, you gotta try to fight fear and find a light bright enough to ignite and excite peers. But get their attention, I find. You gotta give them a big boom. You're the few, and I got my lighter right here. Oh, I'm getting tired of that. I don't know anymore what they call that. Getting so you know that something's missing. Let's go show 'em what rap is again.